Okay, now when we are facing hard times, there are two things to remember. The first one is that life is going to ask us a question through the challenge that we're facing or the hard time. And it's important to know what that question is so that we know what is expected from us. The second thing is to realize that sometimes we act as if it's optional. Oh, why is this happening to me? Oh, how come they don't go through this? How come this, that, the other? We think that it's optional. And that's an issue, right? We don't know what the question is, and we think we maybe don't even have to go through this. You see how those two things are problematic? How are you going to do that? How are you going to go successfully through this challenge if you can't answer those things? And that's what this video is about. The first thing to realize is that as life asks us, who are we? It says, here's a challenge, show me who you are, right? That sounds pretty simple. Oh, okay, that's who am I, whatever. The real difficult part is to know how to identify who we are and how to identify ourselves in a way which is actually viable or makes sense. What is the correct way to do that, right? Can it be on the outside? Like, can I use objects to say, yo, I am this, I am that? Can I use money? Can I use, right? Not really. Because those things leave, right? Like, there has to be a better way. And that better way is to think about the things that won't leave once you go through life. Even if I was to, lose everything, who would I still be, right? That's the purest form to that answer. And when you think about it like that, you realize that even down to when people go and face death, on their tombstone, they write, he was a great husband, a great son, a father to such and such, right? And at that moment, you realize that the things which connect us to other people always remain. They always stay, right? To realize that we are the son to someone, we are the brother to someone, we are the father to somebody, right? Brother, a friend, you're all of those things, and then you have to make a list of them, right? Those things that you don't use the outside, you use those things, and you realize that at the fundamental level, that is what builds everything else, and that is true value, because it won't leave. And so that is the most important thing to take care of, right? See what I'm trying to say? And if you start and build on that, right, then you can have more confidence as you face whatever challenge that you face. What does that mean to you, right? And that's the deepest and most personal thing that you can have, right? That is what you can't go out and share with everybody. That is what you protect with everything you have. That is the foundation of the energy that you walk around with. That is deeper than any money or whatever. It's that's the purest form of you, right? And then sometimes you realize that it's not about winning on the outside world. It's not about overcoming this in a way that will benefit me, where I'll overcome this challenge richer than I walked in it, Sometimes it's about making sure that survives. That energy that you have when you think and you anchor yourself in that survives through this challenge, right? I'm gonna give you an example. Let's say I'm a deeply religious person, right? And I run a company. And some company shows up and offers me a lot of money to promote or market something that doesn't align with my beliefs, right? At that moment, I have a choice. If deeply rooted in me are principles or values that are rooted in religion, and that for my character to survive on this front, or my energy to be what it is, I can't afford to deal with such things, then I have to let it go. because it will threaten my character. It will threaten my energy. It will threaten that which you know, is the purest form of me, my purity, right? Quote unquote. That's, you see, it wasn't about winning that, but that was a test. That was life saying, who are you? Are you gonna deal with this, or are you gonna reject it? You see, the question is, who are you? And unless we understand that's what's at play, that's what's really, you know, at play here, at risk, then it's going to be hard for us to know how to answer this, right? How would you answer it otherwise? If you're faced with the question or the proposition to make more money on this outside world, you would say, yeah, for sure. What does that have to do with me? I'm not the one selling the product. For example, alcohol or, something like that. I'm not the one selling it. So, you know what I mean? But I'm still dealing with it as a whole. So at that moment, it becomes a threat to, to what I believe in. It's an example. The second part to this is to realize that it's not really an option, right? Like, for things to exist, we have to go through these things. And it's not always hardships, but sometimes it's tests like those. It's not a hardship right there, right? To be faced with that option of dealing, with a deal that doesn't align with my values, but it's still a test. Sometimes the test is a position of power. Sometimes the test is to losing everything. But the question remains the same, right? But it's not an option. Everybody goes through it, right? Even if you experience a complete boredom, in itself is a test. Here, I gave you no pressure. Demonstrate to me what you will do with it, right? What you will do in that environment. Who are you at that moment? Life asks the same question. And to demonstrate that is, you see, like, there's a wall right here. If I want to know what this wall is made of, what would I do? What would you do? You want to know what this wall is made of? What are you going to do? First thing that 99% of people do, at least if they will touch it, right? They might even knock on it. You see? By getting in contact with it, right? Contact, you're testing it. And by testing it, you're trying to figure out what it is. Whether the test is to put it under a different watch, to scan it, to hit it with something, to see how much pressure it can handle. All those are tests. But the same way that you naturally would be inclined to do it, life would do the same for you. And so once you start to look at it like that, a lot of the way in which we start to face the challenges that we face in life, our approach towards them change. We stop questioning, why is it happening to me, and how come they don't go through that, or whatever. And you start to realize that this is necessary. You know what I'm saying? Even light, right? As you know, it has to bounce off things. And so the reality that we experience responds to the same pretty much fundamental rules. There has to be a contact with the world. How else are you gonna go through life? You have to be in contact with the world. And by getting in contact with the world always asks, who are you? Oh, who are you? Who are you? Boom, repeatedly. But when you start approaching it that way, everything changed, right? Same thing socially even. You're gonna meet people and people who don't know you. Even people who do know you are always checking. They're always checking, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And you'll be surprised when you start to look at it that way, how much sometimes people see the slightest, you know, variation or opening, and they sometimes they'll try to take, you know, take that room that you just left open and take advantage of it. Not everybody, but some people, right? But it changes everything on how you view things and how you approach them. When I started looking at it that way, I no longer complained. I found myself, I don't act from a position of victimhood, because I understand it's just the reality that we live in, right? When it comes to learning new things, I always try to apply one thing, is to say, I try to learn about it, so I take in the information and I look at it. Okay, this is everything I could learn about it. Do I understand it? Does it make sense to me? Yeah, I see how that happens, like the light thing, the wall thing. Yeah, I can see how that happens in our life. And then it's about, okay, well, accepting it. That's the third step. Learning, understanding, and accepting. And once I accept it, now I have to move differently. Now I accept that how I used to view things might have been wrong, might have been not accurate. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a new way now that I could see that's more accurate to how life actually goes. And now I start to walk differently again. And that's what I would encourage you to do, if this makes sense to you, right? It's to take in this information, and if it makes sense to you, I encourage you to implement it, because it could transform a lot of things. And it creates, I think, it allows for a lot more stoicism. It's not be so emotional about things, because this is just the nature of things. Life just gives you the opportunity. It's not really who are you in a questioning way, like doubting you, but it's who are you in a show me who you are. And you can answer it by your questions, and you remember that it's not really about winning on the outside world, but sometimes it's about allowing your character, your true perspective, your pure self to survive the challenge here. And if I can add another thing on a tangent here, for another video, this might be something to dive into, but when you start to look at it as the bonds that you share with people, you realize that it's not about you, and that when you think about other people, you can find the strength to overcome what it is that you're overcoming, because you don't have the limits that you might have if you only focus on yourself. You realize that you have to overcome this for them. It doesn't matter how much, it doesn't matter if they deserve it or not, right? People sometimes are mad at their parents, and so they want to act differently or whatever, but it's about you surviving. It doesn't matter who deserves it or not. It shouldn't be conditional on what people did for you. There is meaning in that part of you, regardless of other people. You being a friend to people, for example, that has nothing to do with them. You're a friend. You remain that. And that gives meaning not only to you, but to them too. Right? It can be tough to lose friends. It can be tough to have people treat you like, with a lower level than you would want or deserve. But you acting in alignment with those things, right? Those things that you can identify with, make sure that your character survives. And the more you can take on, the richer you are, pretty much, right? And the stronger you are as well. And so, yeah, this is maybe something to dive into in another video, but I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. I hope this helps. See you.